Okay, good evening. Good evening in I guess. Uh Good evening in I guess the UK and Europe. Good morning, I suppose, in on the West Coast. And for wait, wait, guys. Why am I the only one that's on the East Coast? What? I just realized this. I'm looking at the name list and really it's only me that's on the East Coast. That's really interesting. Cause I mean, given what we do, half of us should be here. Well, regardless. I was told by one of our UK friends that I don't I'm not doing enough pretentious monologues. And so that's what I thought what we would do today is I'll pretentiously monologue at you guys, and we shall go from there. And do feel free to sort of chime in whenever you want. I might read your words if I feel like it, but if I don't, well, tough. Mm, I don't know why that is so amusing to you guys. Well, regardless, okay. So let me just start this because last time we had just talked about it. Okay. So what I want to talk about today is the nature of success, which I don't know if that's particularly interesting, but it doesn't matter because this is my show. Well, and it's actually a really interesting study on the human condition because if you think about it, success is how we define it, right? Like if you go a little bit deeper and you think about, especially at I suppose our level, success is much less about how we because I guess for a lot of us, in a lot of ways compared to the rest of society, we are already quite successful, and yet some of you are still working. Just what was it last week? Something like last week we did a 90-hour week for a lot of very good reasons, but still, like, that's a long time, right? And so the question is, what is success? How do we define it? And what makes some people more successful than others? I'm gonna go here, and then that's gonna bloom, bloom. Let's try it. And I'm of the opinion, if we go back to success, I'm of the opinion that success is actually a much more. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should have just left that and did like something like here. Anyway, so in my opinion, success is not so much it certainly is a societal it's something imposed by society, but at the same time it's also not something that's oh, no worries, it's all good. At the same time, it's also something that's really shall we say, not imposed by society. And I know that sounds really weird, um but if we think about it, right, like there are some people that are just satisfied with less as opposed to more, like even within our little group, like there was a period last year where you guys did a whole bunch of things that I didn't even participate in, and that's just because I didn't. No, it's not because I hated you guys. Even though I might very well do so now. No, it's simply because um our interpretations of what is successful and what is not, or what is success, is is different. It remains different, right? Like I'm not gonna give any concrete examples, obviously, because this is going out live. But um, I it's fine. It's fine. Let's give some hypothetical examples. Like for example, if we talk about things like, for example, oh that's annoying. Oh, that's such a weak move, though. What if I just did this? I'm just gonna do that. Yes. Now what are you gonna do, bro? Anyway. Oh no, I should have gone slightly further down, I think. Well, doesn't matter. Success. If I were to give an example, for example, in like a typical white collar worker, that's, say for example, middle management, not middle management, let's say like lower middle, not lower, but rather closer to entry level than upper tier management, right? So think like, for example, in a store, it might be like the store manager. In a software company, it might be the team manager. That kind of stuff. Like you are technically not a frontline worker anymore, but you still maintain sort of that close working relationship with the front line. And so the question becomes, what is it about? Should I have done that? Probably. Hopefully. Anyway, and so the question becomes, what is it about these people? Because not everyone can be a CEO, obviously, right? Like not everyone can move from being a entry level worker all the way to the top of their organization, because there are only so few positions at the top of any organization. So what makes some of them more successful than the others? And I think partially, at least, that comes down to two things. The first is a personal definition of what success looks and feels like. Oh, interesting. Hello? I'm thinking really hard about this position. Let me sit on that while I finish my talk. The first is the person that is more successful generally has a better understanding of what is success to themselves. And the second is, of course, a drive to reach that kind of success, right? And partially these two things are related, because everybody has an idea of what success is. And the problem is whether that idea, whether those thoughts are realistic or not. And I would argue that for a lot of people, they're not realistic. And in that case, those people don't know what success is, or don't. Yeah, because you don't have a realistic idea of what success is. Even if you have the drive to chase success, or your own version of success, you're never gonna get there, simply because it's almost impossible to understand what like. No, let me rephrase that. It's almost impossible to understand success and your own success, and to attain it, if you don't if you don't have a means of getting there, right? Like, for example, let's go back to our are lower. I can't say lower. I keep saying lower. uh, I'm not, I no I genuinely am not being, and I'm waving my hand for no reason. I'm genuinely not being like I'm genuinely I'm only thinking in terms of hierarchy, right? So lower doesn't mean less important. Lower just means you're closer to the front line, to not the front line. Well, I guess frontline worker, right? So in a software company, it would be the programmer. In a retail company, it would be the retail the frontline retail worker. In a mining company, depending on what kind of mining company, like if it like the frontline worker in a mining company isn't necessarily the guys actually doing the mining, because a lot of that is done on a concession basis. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is very laboriously trying to make is someone closer to the front lines and has been close to the front lines for a long time might not understand what success is and how to reach it, simply because he or she doesn't really doesn't fulfill the two requirements. One that is a drive, and one that is a realistic understanding of success, right? Because a frontline worker can think success means making $80,000 a year, but why, how, where, with what tools, and like providing what kind of service, right? Like like the, stop laughing at the 80,000 part. Out of all things that I've said, that is what you guys latch on to. I mean, and that kind of shows, right? Like the fact that you guys are laughing at 80,000 as being successful is part of the problem. Not that you guys aren't successful, or not that like um you're necessarily wrong, but in your eyes, 80 grand a year is not successful, whereas there are a lot of people on this earth who would be more than happy with 80, and I'm sure you guys understand that. So the question is then, like, why are some people more successful than others? And in my eye, that is simply because they have a realistic understanding of what success is, and they have the drive to get there. And I still don't know what to do with this position. I might just do. I might just do this. Like when we're playing on a handicap, just before we continue with our story of success, when you're playing on a handicap, you don't have to kind of attack all out, if that makes sense. In that really, like, 6 stones is a lot. You see how white is struggling to get anywhere. Even here, like, this is tiny compared to what I am capable of, just like throwing down stones. And so the same thing here, right? And that's why white needs to do these bold moves to try to attain some amount of territory elsewhere. And so my goal should be to defend, not defend sort of, or no, my goal should be not to try to destroy white, but rather to just play reasonably conservatively, right? Because if I wanted to kill white, I could do something like 2-2, which would kill probably me, or I could do something like 2-3, or I could do something more interesting like 2-8 here. Ignore my numbering. I'm looking at it from really weird angles. But I think what I will do is I will actually just play a slow move. Anyway, so back to our conversation of success, and I'm of the opinion, actually, I firmly believe this, that it's a difference between there's a certain amount of restlessness in people who are successful, such that they're able to recognize more opportunities and to act upon them. Right, like for example, a lot of us have had that, um, have had that. Where did you go? Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. A lot of us have had that kind of experience where we've been bombarded with opportunities and and the ones that manage to choose, perhaps by luck of the draw, the better ones, or the ones that managed to choose more than one opportunity, tended to go slightly farther. But that doesn't mean that those who didn't go quite as far are unsuccessful, right? That's certainly not how that works. And so, I completely lost my train of thought. I was gonna talk about something, but I can't remember. See, we'll get back to success. Give me 1 second. So here again is the question: if I take this point, which I guess on this board is 17.4, then I'm doing a very nice defensive move to essentially lock down this area. If I do 16.3, that means I'm giving up some amount, probably up to here, or even down to here of this area, and that's 3 by 4, so that's at least 12 points. I'm giving that up in order to attempt to save a lot more of this, and this is quite a bit less. So the northern part of the board is a lot less. Right now it's a lot less well defined than it is here. So for example, if I manage this here and then I do this, right? So obviously if I go 17.4, white will do 16.3, and then if I do 18.3, I have essentially chased white in this direction, and this area is now basically fundamentally secure, right? And that would be the most conservative way to play. But if I do this and then I try something like I did here, except this time instead of going directly here, I might try this, and then white comes here. White generally either actually here or here. And then if I do this, actually we'll see what white does. But anyway, success, right? Realistic expectation of success and the drive to achieve that expectation, right? I mean, you can have multiple ideas on what makes you successful. I think that's absolutely valid. The problem is when that's, oh, okay, well, when that absolute level of success, maybe I shouldn't have done this. Well, we'll come back to it. The problem is when that absolute when you only have a far-reaching idea on what you want to do, and therefore don't have the intermediate steps. And if you don't have the intermediate steps, then even if you do have the drive, you can't do anything. You're just restless, right? Like that's how that is, simply because when you're in that situation and you're, say, like a frontline retail worker wants to become the CEO of the company, that's great. How do you get there? Well, you first move to store management, district management, and then you do a whole bunch of circuits around the country, and only then can you slowly make yourself up to the top of the company, right? Like if you want to be a lifer, that's completely realistic, but it's realistic based on the expectation that you are going to put in the effort to do all of that. But I do know a lot of people that don't know that, or don't think that, and that to me is tragic, because these people think they have been denied by the system when it's not the corporate system that has failed them, but rather the education system. And that to me is much more oh, hello, is a lot more tragic than any other, than anything else, simply because in that kind of case there is nothing we can really do to help these people, right? And that's what else can I say besides that's tragic. Anyway, sorry, gotten off topic. So you have to know what kind of success you want, and you have to know how to, and you have to have the drive to get that kind of success that you want. Now the problem there is, of course, sometimes things don't work out. I knew you were gonna do that, so then it's gonna come here or here. Either way, we're gonna do this, then we're probably gonna have to do that. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, it's gonna be 18.6. Oh, it's not? No, it is. Yeah, so in cases like our society, we teach kids to be, say 18.6. We teach children to be give me a moment. Oh, I'm gonna lose all of this. Redo. So yeah, I just want to comment real quick. When I did this and it came out and it created this fault in the line. So by doing this, if I had here instead done this, or even done 17.6, that would have made my life, I think, a little bit easier. We'll try it. What was I saying? What was I saying, guys? Oh, none of you are listening. Good job. Well, I mean, if you wanted to make fun of my game playing, you could have done so much earlier, right? Anyway, something. I can't remember. Oh, that's what's gonna happen. There's gonna be one here, and then I'm gonna do this, and then it's gonna take all of mine, or I'm gonna take this, and then there's gonna be a hop downwards. So that doesn't work. I'll let it play out. Yeah, success. I feel like what we don't teach children enough is the fact that success doesn't come from, doesn't just like, it requires hard work, but it also requires vision, and it requires knowing where to apply our hard work, right? Like we've done too much of this in our society, where we have all this, like, we value hard work, and that's great, but we don't value, or we don't understand how to value we don't understand how to value the proper way to apply hard work. Does that make sense? Because, like, I mean, between you guys and I, we do see this occasionally, where like a founder, like we sometimes talk about this, right? Like, this founder or that founder could have done so much more if he or she had applied themselves in an just a little bit differently. And in those particular cases, like, if there was simply just a little bit more something else there, then perhaps it would have gotten funded, or perhaps like someone would have actually stepped in to help at a slightly earlier stage, such that by the time that the founder comes goes to find money, blah blah blah. All like there will be more opportunity, and and that's kind of tragic, right? Because what it really what it really says about our society is that a lot of us don't understand. Oh, 1 second. Right, I was here. A lot of a lot a lot of us are smart only in one area. Sorry, just to come back to that topic. Like what that says is a lot of us really can, like by us I don't mean us on a Discord, but rather just us as a population in general. A lot of us can do a lot of very interesting things. The problem arises because suddenly it is suddenly there is not enough, shall we call it, there's not enough breadth, right? like I'm a big fan of the 80/20 thing. Though I mean we've talked, I guess I haven't talked about it on stream, but we've talked about it offline a bit, which is 20% of the effort gets us 80% of the returns, and the or another way of saying that is the last 20% of making anything perfect requires 80% of the time. And there are cases where absolutely you have to spend that 80% of the time if you're making a product, if you're trying to develop something, if you're trying to, like me, fail to write your thesis. Don't remind me about the thesis. um, and so in those particular cases, it's difficult. I would argue, right? It's difficult to know when you have to apply the last 80%. And I'm gonna say this about you guys as well. Actually, a lot of you have failed to apply those last 80% in a rather meaningful way, and that like it has left, shall we say, it has taken some opportunities away from you, right? Like for example, actually no, I'm not gonna give any concrete examples. I'll give one for myself actually. I could have learned Spanish a lot earlier, and it would have helped oh, hello. Hmm. I could have learned Spanish a lot earlier, and I think it would have opened actually a lot of my doors for me. Um, because even in my undergrad, I had this nice, like, really interesting idea uh, in Argentina that would have taken place in Argentina. Um, and if I had known Spanish back then, I'm almost certain I could have made it work, right? And things would be completely different for me now, simply because of how different that idea itself is. And so, oh, I see. Remember how I said that if I go this way, we'll end up doing something like this? That's exactly what happened. And in fact, they pushed me one further to the south, and so that means I can have at most, what is this, 6, 7, 8? No, 7, 8, 9. No, 8 spots here from the original, however much that was, right? But there's no territory here for white at all because of move 40, and this is now quite secure. I mean, I say quite secure. It's still very washy, but it should be all right. So anyway, yeah. So that's my example, and if I had learned Spanish, I'm not gonna talk about the opportunity. If I had learned Spanish, I would have probably, or maybe not, I might have dropped out of undergrad to pursue it. And that's just what it is, right? Like, and I didn't need that well of Spanish. I mean, I already knew French. I knew enough Latin so that I could read ish how Spanish works. So I would have taken 20% of the time to learn 80% Spanish such that I could survive and that I could actually like mingle, right? Because that's part of what business is, that I could. Excuse me? Are you done? You didn't think 30 seconds, did you? No. Oh, interesting. Well, so just to make sure that this area survives, we're gonna play move 46. But yeah, so because of that, I mean, do I regret it? Kind of. But do I regret my current life? No, right? So it's just a matter of taking the opportunities and putting in the amount of effort that's necessary to gain. Oh, hello. I did not expect that. Okay. Oh, we're at 31 minutes. We should probably wrap this up for today. Yeah, I'm gonna stop playing and we can finish our conversation. Essentially, what I really wanted to get across was that success is dependent not only on being able to take opportunities, but being able to recognize which opportunities are. So okay, let me go back to the very beginning. First, you have to recognize what success is, what is a reasonable success, and what isn't, and then you have to have the drive to pursue that particular success. And how do you do that? Well, you do that by giving yourself enough advantages such that when an opportunity, you generate opportunities for yourself. And where did you even go? 49, move 49. Okay, down here. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, you have to generate opportunities for yourself, and you do that by essentially using your time efficiently to create breadth, right? And I know I got onto that topic because we were talking about founders, but it works in every aspect of life. Like, say let's talk about retail for just one moment. Like, a worker, you have two identical workers that both have similar amounts of output and both basically do everything they're not exchangeable, but in terms of value generated, they're about the same. Would you promote the one that had more language skills, or would you promote the one that didn't have more language skills? Obviously you would promote the one with more language skills, because there is a hidden opportunity in there in case you need someone with those particular skills in the future, right? Like to similar workers, even if one of the workers knew Latin, I would promote the one with who knew Latin compared to the other one who didn't, right? Like, it's self-explanatory. And so first we have to recognize our success, and we do that, or no, first we have to recognize what is success for ourselves, and the drive to attain that success comes from there, really. And actually, I would take a step back and say, even the ability to recognize success depends on being a broadly knowledgeable person. Like, sure, there are other circumstances that can help, but knowing more not trivia, but knowing more about the world, about how it functions in in a scientific way. And here we'll come to, I'm sure at some point in the future we'll talk about rumors and fake news and all of that, but I don't really want to. Um, but the point remains that to be able to understand what kind of plausible success one can have, one needs to be broadly knowledgeable about essentially the job, the society, and everything around it. And a lot of people have trouble with that very fact. So again, what makes some people more successful than others? I would say it's the breadth and knowledge, because then that lets you recognize what success, what immediate success you can attain, and it allows you to realize what kind of opportunities you can have. That's one. And then the second is a drive to attain what you have recognized, right? That's all for today. Thank you very much for watching. Okay, first of all, you asked for this. Well, I mean, two of you asked for this. And in conclusion, thank you very much for watching. Download Firefox, don't use Chrome because it's terrible, and have a good evening and morning. Actually, this isn't bad, right? Because if I'm doing it at this particular time, it's evening in the UK and it's morning on the West Coast, and the only person that apparently inconveniences is me. Well, good job, guys. We'll see you soon.